Hello and welcome to the Crown Zone. I'm Lynn. I've drawn some cards which I'd like to share with you for the new moon in Pisces, which is imminent. It's this coming Sunday, well, in the UK, on the 10th of March. I think this is a really important moon because it's both a herald of things that are coming up, shining a light on those, seeding those, and preparing us for those. But also, it's a little bit like a lesson review of where we've been coming from. Because, as you may be aware, we are in the process, which doesn't happen quickly, of moving out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. This doesn't happen like that. This is a whole process taking probably decades and decades, if not more. But we're definitely coming into that now. Pluto will go into Aquarius and stay there for a long time this November. It's been ducking in and out of Capricorn and Aquarius over these months, but it will go back in and stay there. And we can really see that as a real spear point towards the new age that we're headed to, because we are in times of great change. Now, as well as having been a lifelong student of astrology, well, since my teens anyway, as you know, my main focus now is on tarot. And I'd like to share with you, I'll just show a shot on screen. So, what we can see here basically is the central axis point of what we'd call the typical Celtic cross. And there are just 5 cards there. So there are 3 on the vertical axis, 3 on the horizontal. The card in the left-hand corner, the Wheel of Fortune, is one which I pulled out deliberately. It didn't fall from the deck. I took it out deliberately as representative of the number 10. It is the 10th card in the deck. And of course, the new moon is happening on the 10th of March. If we look at the central line, we're looking at the spiritual journey, we're looking at spiritual evolution. If we look at the horizontal line, we're looking at temporal time, we're looking at what's happening now, here, the sort of situations we're going through. So the horizontal, you could say, represents the situations we're facing, and the vertical, rather importantly, represents the lessons we're supposed to be learning from that in order to evolve. So I'd like to speak to what's happening in the world before I go on to the vertical axis of the lessons we're learning there. But before I can do that, I have to address this card with you, which I deliberately took from the deck representing the number 10. And of course, the Wheel of Fortune represents cyclical change. And this card would sit on top of the central point of the little cross that I showed you. It is dominating the entire reading with this message to us. These are times of huge change. The wheel is turning. This isn't just a turn of a season, as we might expect in March with the equinox coming up. It's not a change, of the solstices or those kinds of things, or a life change to us personally, like coming of age or the menopause or those kind of things. This is a big cyclical change of the ages, and this dominates this reading. It sets the scene. It gives to me very much the message the big context in which we should see this new Piscean moon. Now, all new moons throw light on situations, and I'd like to go next to this card. It's a card of really being up against it. It's a card of being beleaguered. It can be a card of wounding, of trauma, all of the above. It can be that last ditch fight, that last effort to try and push through. If you watch my last video, you'll know that I talked about the wounding of Chiron to our world as well as to us individually, because Chiron is sitting on the North Node, the world axis North Node at the moment. So this is a very much a collective wounding, a wounded world, a wounding of nature, a wounding of people personally. Things aren't, not in a good place. People are feeling this. They may be also feeling this sense of how much more, how much more can we take? We can't support any more of this. We've had enough. We're wounded. We've had enough. When does it stop? We also have this card, Judgment. And this indicates to us there's an awful lot of karmic influence coming up at the moment. What goes around comes around. Things that have been mismanaged maybe for years are coming to light. Corruption is coming to light, both of individuals and of institutions. We may be dredging and acknowledging our own failings. This is a huge wake-up call. That trumpet is sounding. It's saying, you wake up now. It's now. Wake up. For goodness sake, wake up. It is absolutely the time to do this. There is no more time for sleepwalking through life. We really have to wake up and step up to the plate, as it were. The central card to all of this, though, that runs both through the vertical and horizontal axis, is this card, the Six of Wands. And I'd like to just consider its placement here and how I'm interpreting this. It's not the card's only interpretation. It's a card of temporary victory and public recognition. Now, temporary victory, sticking plaster solutions are not going to be good enough. But also, I think the deeper message here can be riding high on the ego. This notion of investing into the vanities and misconceptions that the ego can have. And I mean the collective ego. At the root of the reading, the card, lowest point on the vertical, we have the Ace of Cups. This is the ace of the water element in the deck. And Pisces, of course, is the last of the water signs. And the root or radical point of the reading is this leaving of the sign of Pisces, this moving of the ages from Pisces. Remember, we have the wheel. And we're moving out of the age of Pisces. But we're being called here. How have we done in the age of Pisces? That's something the moon is saying. Have a look at this. Lesson review, assessment. How have we handled it? How have we done? Now, and almost everybody knows the lyrics to that song, The Age of Aquarius, and it all sounds so wonderful, doesn't it? Peace, harmony, love, understanding, brotherhood, all these lovely things. But any age, contains energies, and how we use those energies is the important thing. They're not predetermined that they will go in a particular way. The potentials are there, but how do we use them? So it's really useful here to look back just briefly to some of the big messages from the age of Pisces. Now, this was the age that brought in Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, many wise and wonderful spiritual teachers. This was a seeding of spirit, of ways forward, of ways to evolve spiritually. That, quite frankly, we're still struggling very hard to embody or come to terms with. What happened to these beautiful messages, based as they all were in love, in equality, and in harmony and brotherhood? What happened to them is that they were taken and distorted, turned upside down in a hierarchical power structure of organized religions, which often we're seeking to control populations, and with nothing to do with the original messages, and nothing to do with the spiritual essence that was trying so hard to be born. Of course, it has been born in individuals and pockets of our world. There is goodness, there is love, that these things do exist. They're there. But as a society, have we truly embraced them fully? I think perhaps not, and that's something to consider. If we have distorted the messages of the age of Pisces and mismanaged them, we must think seriously about that, because we risk mismanaging the incoming age of Aquarius too. Because if we think, we're riding high here, that we're, the successful ones without examining our actions, then we're riding for a fall. I'd like to go back to this card and pick up on its associations with the Holy Grail, the Sacred Grail. Have we missed this? Have we missed this? Have we pursued false grails? We have to make sure that we carry the values of this forward, especially because we're going into an age of huge technological change, an age where it's possible the human values, the inner human values of spirit, could be lost. We need to be wary of that. Now, at the top of that vertical axis, we had another of these great cards of change, and that is death. And this card signifies an uncompromising sweeping away. This idea that what is no longer serves, what is no longer useful, will be scythed away, will be taken away. This is not our action. This is happening. There is nothing we can do about this energy. It is coming. And so I think the message of the Pisces moon for us is, what can we learn from where we've been? What is of the greatest value to us? How can we keep this flame alive carry this sacred chalice forward into an age where change is likely to be incredibly rapid, and where we are in uncharted territory to many degrees. I want to return, though, to the Wheel of Fortune, which is a card that has been coming up lately in these moon readings. And the reminder to us that the point at the center of the wheel, the still turning point at the center of the wheel, is the place where we have to be in order not to be completely hurled about, tossed and turned by change. This is an anchoring into our deepest selves, a trust in our inner being. And that is where we must be. And that is what must be informing us individually and as a collective. And of course, as individuals, we can have a limited power over collective events. But the one area where we do have power is our own selves. And in order to change the world, we start with ourselves. So let's take forward the lessons of the past. Let's try and heal and sweep away some of those great mistakes and injustices. There is a call with this moon to clear the decks, learn from what's gone wrong in order to get it right in the future. You and I, we are the chalice. We must contain and keep safe the Holy Grail. I'll leave you with that thought then, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.